is not on tonight's agenda. Oh, excuse me. If anyone who's not on tonight's agenda has something that they would like to bring to our attention. Okay, so hearing none, I'll have a roll call for commissioners that are here. Sarah Monaco,
Here.
Tim Hollander,
Here.
Zega Askanitis.
Here.
I need another tutorial. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Anna Nagy.
Here.
Okay, and John Sullivan are here. So with that, let me, I have a desk full of agendas apparently. So tonight's agenda, let's, 6 Grand Hill Drive regarding a septic system. Artie, can you, why don't you fill us in? Oh, no, excuse me. Actually, Janet, why don't you give us a quick rundown?
Sure. So this is a straightforward NOI for a septic replacement. The legal ad was published. We have a DEP number. I did a site inspection with the homeowner and reviewed the application. I had a couple of comments and just a couple of updates. We did receive proof of a butter notification. We received the certificates of mailing. And also, Deb did confirm that an RDA had been submitted for the septic testing. It was 4 years ago, which is why it didn't register on my end. It was done quite a while ago. So I did have just a couple comments. Maybe Artie can pull up the site plan and we can go over those.
They need it says because it says sharing is not turned on.
Oh, it looks like I thought I did. Here, let me just, I'll allow, but it looked like it was on. Go ahead. Did that come through?
Yep.
Good.
Okay, can you guys see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Too bad it's in black.
I can make it white.
Let's see. I'm not sure what's better. Commissioners?
Is there a preference?
Commissioners,
No,
anyone
it's
have
fine.
let's go with the black.
I like it black because it's
Yeah, no, I
easier to
think
see.
let's go with the black.
Sure,
Okay.
sounds good.
Do I wait for Janet to talk or should I start?
No, well, okay, yeah, good point. So, Janet, go ahead. You had a couple concerns and the plan may help you out. Is that what you're thinking?
Yes, so as I noted in my report, the site plan shows 4 trees with X's through them, which usually means that's an existing tree and they're proposing to take it down. But the narrative indicates, so there are no trees to come down. All the trees with X's over them have already come out.
Okay.
So my request is that the site plan be revised to remove those trees. Otherwise, it could be an issue and it just doesn't reflect the existing site conditions. And then the second is over adjacent to the driveway towards the top. It says riprap driveway shoulder. And there was no detail or narrative on that. So I'm not sure if that was a proposed infiltration trench. We just need more of an explanation on that. And then there are 2 waiver requests that I recommend be approved. And then also they requested the waiver fees be waived. So that I would request that the site plan be revised, be resubmitted, and then we could vote and approve at the next meeting.
Okay, doke. Anna, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I just have a question on this layout. I don't understand why the septic isn't rotated 90 degrees because you're in the 50-foot no structure, but it looks like if it rotated, you could fit within the 70 without going any closer to the underground electric, but I don't know what I'm doing, so I don't know exactly why what's right about this.
Can I respond?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep, go ahead. Yep, go ahead, Artie.
Okay, so one of the concerns that we have and is that, as you can see, we did soil testing up in here. This line in here shows the 100-foot buffer. And what ended up being is we, as Janet pointed out, we did the testing almost 4 years ago. And at the time, the homeowner wanted to go with the option of putting a full-size septic system that was going to accommodate 5 bedrooms, not 4. At the moment that you increase the number of bedrooms, that triggers new construction. So under the new construction rules, now you have to try to stay outside the 100-foot buffer. And the soil results testing that we had in here was the groundwater was pretty high. So that would have required having to put a lot of retaining walls to accommodate the 5 bedrooms. What ended up being is that the homeowner, once he's figured out the cost associated and the looks of having a 6-foot or 8-foot high retaining wall, decided to not go to 5 bedrooms, but stay with the 4 bedrooms. Now, with one of the things that is recommended when you design a septic system is that you try to be parallel with the contours. So right now, if you notice, this is the line how the contours go. And we are required to have the septic system more or less go the same direction as the contours go. We don't want to go perpendicular to the flow of water. That's why we did it like that.
Okay.
That makes sense. Assumed
Thanks,
there's a
Artie.
reasonable answer. Sounds good.
Can I respond to Janet's comments or?
Just a moment. I was just curious. So what's the height? What's the resulting height for your retaining wall there?
Nothing. No retaining wall.
Okay, so I'm just saying your top of slope. So that and then you break. That's where
So
you.
the top of slope is 122.4, and the ground. Hold on a second. The ground right now is 122. So from 122 to 222 to 224, so 2 feet higher along in here, but it's staying the same up in here.
Okay, and then you basically handle that with your grading for breakout and so forth in the front.
And then we have gone slope 3-to-1. That's correct. Yep.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Go ahead. In terms of responding to Janet's concerns.
So in terms of the comments that Janet made, the reason why we filed the plan the way it was is because that's the plan that was approved by the Board of Health a year ago. So that at the time when we did the plan, the trees were still there. The homeowner did get approval through Janet for removing the trees before we got approval with Board of Health and Conservation Commission, but nevertheless, the trees were there, and that's what Board of Health approved. So what we did is that we filed the same plan that was approved a year ago from Board of Health with Conservation Commission, and we didn't change anything. We basically asked for approval for a plan that Board of Health has already approved. For clarity, we did show the trees that were cut in the event that the commission or anyone had any questions as far as why we are not showing it. So for clarity, is the same plan that is on file with Board of Health, that's what has been approved, is the same plan that we filed with Conservation Commission. We're asking for that same plan to be approved. So in our mind, just showing that 4 trees to be removed, it was part of the overall project. It's just that it was done on piecemeal.
It maintains continuity with what's on file with Board of Health.
So you're approving the same plan that they approved, basically. That's what the thinking was behind it. So that is the comment as far as why we did it that way. The other thing would be, we would like for the commission, if it is that the commission feels strongly that they would like to have a clean plan, not to show those 4 trees, and we have to provide you with a revised plan, we can certainly do that, but we would ask that the commission don't delay the approval, maybe give us the approval tonight for the project as is, with the condition that a new plan be provided. So it avoids from us having to come back on another meeting just to show you a plan that doesn't have the trees. It kind of, we don't want to waste time because the homeowner would like to move forward with construction. That's,
Okay,
that is that item. The second item.
understood. Yep,
Yep.
second item?
So the second item that Janet is referring to is so as you can see, we did the slope 3-to-1 and staying 5 feet away from the existing edge of driveway that is there. However, for protection on the driveway, we put a riprap shoulder just to protect the driveway. It's common practice in construction to put a riprap. We did not provide the Board of Health with a detail for putting a riprap. If you're putting stones 4 to 6 inches to hold the ground so it doesn't erode or doesn't undermine the driveway. If it is that, if it makes sense to you guys, we did take the time and we put together a sketch showing what we're going to be doing is we're going to have, basically we're going to put 4 to 6 inches of stone and we're going to put 3/4 to 1 inch stone in between. So kind of it's going to give a chance for the bigger stones to hold the driveway. So the driveway itself is almost 16 inches deep from the asphalt all the way to the bottom of the gravel. And we're going to be digging a trench that is 24 inches deep, and we're just going to put bigger stones just to protect the driveway. However, this is a practice that is, construction-wise. So maybe what we can do is get the approval from you guys, and we can incorporate this sketch as part of the pre-construction meeting so everyone is on the same page if Janet feels that that's something that needs to be done. We're just trying to avoid having to change things, but again.
Yep. And how far is that going up slope away from the driveway? How far does it go up that way?
So what's happening is that we are thinking it's going to start somewhere in here because it drops almost 8 feet from here to there. So the logic was to put if we leave it just soil, the fear is that it's going to erode as time goes by. The only contributing watershed that you're going to have is this area in here. So it's not a big area that you're going to collect the water from. There is no water going toward the wetlands at all. All the water is staying on the side in here going toward, and this is where the swale is. So the swale is on the other side of the wetland. The wetlands are at the other side of the driveway. So we don't see a way how the water is going to come from this side of the driveway to go to the other side of the driveway to impact the wetlands. All we're doing is put some stones at the ground level just so that it doesn't erode and protects the driveway.
So as you come down to the as you go a little further down the driveway, pretty much at that I don't know if it was a wetland line that just popped up across there, but basically where the S in shoulder is, do you see need for
so we were talking roughly 50 feet long.
Right,
from here to there.
and approximately 24 inches, and then how far going up the hill by intruding into the hill by, at that point you can be just surface riprap. But
we're just putting a couple of stones just so that it doesn't erode on the
so you think
3-to-1 doesn't need any stones to be holding.
Oh, okay, so it is compliant with 3-to-1. Okay.
Yeah, it's slope 3-to-1, but what we were thinking is as needed, we can always put a little bit of, you see how I showed in here a couple of stones on the side just to help it out. If it is, once it's all done, I think this is more like a field thing that can be done on the site, but again, and we can have this as part of the pre-construction meeting we're going to have with Janet and the contractor. BIG is the contractor that has been selected to do the work. They already have bid it on the project, so they are ready to go as early as next week. So if we delay it for another 2 weeks, we might go into the winter season a little bit more.
Okay. Okay, so those are the relatively minor issues here. I don't have a problem with number one, I don't have a problem with having the trees stay there. I think maintaining the continuity of the Board of Health, and then with a I think
John, I believe, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm hearing echo on your microphone. Is just me or other people are having the same thing?
I don't. And anyone? Am I echoing with anyone?
I'm not
else?
hearing it.
Yeah, it's
No.
okay.
Okay, it must be just me then.
Me too.
Okay, that's
I'm
fine.
not hearing it.
Okay.
I'll try to cut everything in half. no, I'll only speak out of the left side of my mouth. So the, and I'm open to, do commissioners have any comments on this? Okay, I don't see a reason for the, I think, we can, you can send us in a revised plan that, that incorporates the detail for the riprap. And I don't have a problem with, well, while you do that, you might as well remove the trees on that plan. We'll have both plans in the file.
Okay.
The commissioners have any comments concerning that? Okay, let's, Janet, you have your hand up?
Yeah, just, I just want to make sure that we have like one final approved plan. And my concern about the trees is that there doesn't have to be consistency with Board of Health. We have different requirements. My concern would be the legend shows that these trees are to be cut. And if that were the case, if someone were to come in and just look at the site plan, they'd be like, oh, you know, they weren't following the regulations, which
Okay, how about let's do this, because I really don't see a reason, you know, knowing the seasonality that we have coming up on us. Your site visit to review erosion control can be based on having the revisions to that plan, and we can make a comment on the, such revisions to be received before the start of the project.
okay, but then I do think it's important in order to have an accurate site plan, and I mean, if the commission's comfortable approving this without a revised site plan, then that's fine. But
I think the chances of either one of these changes being particularly important to any third party are minor. So I'm open to commissioners in terms of this, but I don't see a need to hold this up for 2 weeks. So I
Can
don't know,
we
Jen,
get-
if you,
Question, could we get like a letter from our, because I know it sounds like printing out the site plan is more effort and not worth it. Could we get like a letter in writing just that this is the addendum so that we know to look for it in however many years when we double check it?
oh, no, I think we should have that within before the site visit. I think it's perfectly fine to have, this is per the vote of the board. Here is a cleaned up plan as requested, where we have shown the detail on the riprap and we have removed the trees, as we had with permission from Janet earlier in the year. And then we have that in the file. I think the concept of the granting of our permit, it can be separated from that, and not hold this up for something that's basically, in essence, a Scrivener error. So, does anyone else have any comments?
Not I.
Okay, let's see. Well, I think the first thing we'll do is we can close the hearing.
Move to close the hearing.
oh, John, I'm sorry. I just wanted to clarify that that Artie, you will show approximately the length of this infiltration trench shoulder, because right now it's not clear the extent of it. So if you
Yep.
could clarify that. Okay,
Yep,
thank
So-
you.
just give it
Yep,
a
yep,
beginning
we'll
and a
show the-
termination.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, I heard a second from Sarah.
Yes.
All in favor of closing the hearing? Sarah?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Zaya?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Artie, you can take this down.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, next,
Okay.
entertain
Move-
motions for the waivers.
Yeah, move to grant the waiver request to allow disturbance within the 50-foot no disturbance setback and disturbance within the 70-foot no structure setback.
Okay,
Allow
and do we
structure.
want to incorporate the waiver fees on this, or do we want to do that separately?
And to waive the waiver fees.
To waive the fees due to the grandfather
associated
nature?
with the waivers.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great, thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Tim?
Aye.
Sega,
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well.
Thank you very much.
Oh, no, we
no,
haven't,
no, no,
we
you're
haven't,
not
we
done
haven't
yet.
voted yet on the whole thing, so we're,
Yeah. Move to, issue an order of conditions approving the project with the condition that a revised plan, as discussed, will be, available before construction starts.
showing, showing the infiltration trench and the
And-
removal of the
And the
trees.
trees, yes.
And with the 10 special conditions outlined in.
Oh,
my-
yes, sorry.
Mhm.
And with the
Okay.
special conditions in the agent's report.
Okay, great. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Sega?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay, so remember, Janet's not going to allow it to start until we get these things in hand. Okay.
Yep, yep.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Thank you.
But
Appreciate
also,
it. Thank you, everyone.
Hold
but
on,
also,
Janet.
yeah, I just wanted to clarify, especially for the homeowner, that we have 21 days to issue this permit. We will try to do that more quickly, but no work should begin until you receive and then record your permit. So I just want to get that on the record. We've had individuals
Mhm.
think that things have been approved tonight, and it's approved, but the permit has to be issued.
So that's the actual hard
can-
copy there.
Is it possible you can work with us a little bit, John? Because we are hoping to do a pre-construction meeting next week.
Well, I think we can have we can have this signed sometime early next week.
Thank you.
You know, on a normal basis. And so, then at that point, you'd be proceeding at your risk once once you get approval from Janet relative to the appeals period.
Yep, agreed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions concerning 6 Grand Hill? Okay, congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, night. Next we have 21 Schaffner Lane. Adam Conrad, who I just saw was, oh, there we go. Good evening. And so 21 Schaffner is comes off of Draper Road. Was done in the mid to late 90s. And we received a report that there had been a fair amount of disturbance in the backyard that has wetlands that come right up into the backyard, and had a number of of conditions on it previously over the years. And so Jen and I swung by and left a stop work order there. And I guess the question I have, Adam, and is talk me through what your thoughts were.
Yeah, so when we looked at the property back in August, and when we spoke with the original owners, we had asked about what they had done about the backyard, and they said that they had Strawberry Hill come out and created some delineation lines, and they staked out way far back in the yard. And so we just wanted to understand what it would be like if we could expand in the backyard, given that they had the evidence that they had received a quote from Strawberry Hill. That was our indication that work would have been okay. So when we had an inspection done, they had noted several trees that were really close to the property that they have to be within 10 feet or have to be more than 10 feet back in order for safety reasons. So we went ahead and called a tree company to have those trees removed near our home, and then basically tried to fill out the area because they were going to leave the logs there and we have young children. So we wanted to make sure that area was safe where we had cleared the trees. And so what they did was they cleared a few trees on the side and a few trees on the back. And when I had them, they asked me about where the septic was. I said I didn't know because I just moved in. And then they pulled up this, which I can share my screen. They pulled this, they said, from the building department. And this is from Dover Country Tree. Like, they're in town. So I assume that they know how these things work.
Dover Country Tree?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with them.
I guess they're here in town. And so they pulled up this document, they said, from the building department. And they basically said, like, there's your conservation line. You're looking to operate somewhere around here, so you're going to be fine. And so we moved forward, and then we thought everything was fine, and then we saw your stop work order, so we stopped and we gave you guys a call, and here we are.
Okay. So, I don't know if you've done any research since, and let's see if I can pull up something. There are several orders of conditions on this. I don't know. An order of conditions is something that when somebody's working within 100 feet of a wetland, they get permission to do certain things. And one of the more recent ones was the people. I'm trying to think. It was the people you bought your house from. They had they had submitted an order of conditions, received one for putting a patio out in the back, and it's clear. Let me see if I can what I can do to share here. Uh, let's take a look here. Let's see if that's sharing.
Looks like Dover Country Tree is Nevin Weinberg, by the way.
Oh, is it? Well, so Nevin's
Yeah.
kind of young, and and he really doesn't, as far as I know, I've used him, doesn't know anything about conservation, or very little. So this is the did my screen come up?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. This here is 21 Schaffner. And this is from Google Earth Pro. If I go back 20 years, this is the way things are. The trees have always been there, and and through here is basically a flowing body of water. And the conservation restriction that was granted on Schaffner Lane includes 8 acres of land all here that's all wet. And eventually this drains around this way and goes to Tubbrook Brook. So for years, this was maintained, and even the previous owners apparently knew enough to not cut anything down. They did come to, and we could not find in quick notice, could not find there was a 2016 order of conditions regarding this patio, which was granted, and then they got a certificate of completion on it because they didn't build it. And part of this property was to get a backyard out of it. There really wasn't much for a backyard. Let me just pull up here. And I am trying to find, oh, let's see if I can get up here, excuse me. I'm trying to pull up a Mass Mapper thing, but my menu for Zoom moved up to the top of my screen. So let me see if I can cancel out here. Nope. Oh, okay. This was when the original conservation restriction was put in place, as part of the subdivision. A couple of years after the subdivision, this house was put in place there. There is a wetland that comes up and around, so it extends closer into the house. And then Mass Mapper, if I can pull that up. Let's see, excuse me. Can someone pull up Mass Mapper and pull in and zoom into 21 Schaffner, please?
I got it. Give me a couple minutes.
Okay, I'm gonna stop my sharing, see if it actually see if it came up for.
So John, Adam, do you understand what a conservation restriction is? You understand that whole process and what's going on there?
I mean, not really. Like I lived
Okay,
on Cedar,
I
I lived on Cedar Hill, and I had tree work done because I put in solar panels there. I'm putting in solar panels here. I've
Mhm.
never run into this before, so I'm like completely new.
Sure.
Yeah, so no, and that's we assume, because frankly, it's kind of a big deal what you end up doing, but we figured nobody would do that on purpose, trying to get around, because it's so obvious. This is did my picture come up with the backyard with the dirt?
I see
No.
one with like it's like green and purple.
Oh, okay, so that's okay, so you're already up there. Go ahead. So if we take a look at 21 Schaffner Lane, if you can show the extent of the wetland going up near the house there, you can leave it as, you don't have to pull up another layer. You can just move your arrow next to the house.
Oh, zoom in a little.
Yeah, zoom in a little bit. So basically, Mass Mapper has shown that over the years, whoops,
Sorry, wrong button.
Mass
like
Map,
one.
whoops.
I love Mass Mapper.
Okay,
No. I will stop clicking things. We'll just let that go.
there we go. Okay, in the Mass Mapper, Adam, is something that we use, which gives us ownership information, topographical, geological information, a whole series of layers. And it can be plus or minus 10 feet in terms of where it delineates certain wetlands. So what we see on this, the 21 Schaffner, you see a darker green and then a lighter green going towards the house. That lighter green it looks like apparently has been due to, I call it climate for lack of a better word, but your wetlands has actually expanded a bit there. And so you're much closer to the house. Consequently, our jurisdiction is anything that is within 100 feet of the wetland line. And that, at this point, unless a wetland scientist shows us otherwise, would extend almost out to the street. And any work that you do inside of that needs to be, what do you have, 149? So
49 to the street and like,
yeah,
I
so
don't know,
to the
it's like
edge of
middle of the
right
front
way.
yard.
Which one is what? There's
Yeah.
like a green line and then there's like an orange line. Which one are you talking about now?
So
The
if
dotted
you,
line is the distance measure, and that's me clicking.
so if you
No, but I
move
mean,
down,
like the map doesn't show a legend, so I don't know what is.
Yeah.
yeah,
there's,
so
like,
that's,
Oh,
I was
sure.
trying to describe that.
It's an
So
orange.
just, Anna, hold on. I just tried to describe it. I'd like you to use your cursor to help me there. So if you move that to the light green wetland area, all that area there, as that goes up close to the house, that shows, according to Mass Mapper, with LiDAR and a bunch of different things, that is the wetlands happens to go up in a bulb towards that corner of the house. Okay, the green that you see. So if you go back down to where it says 21 Schaffner,
Yep.
that I believe, as you run that line through, that's the easement that was granted. That's the predominant wetland line in the back without any, and it's part of the easement that was granted when this subdivision was done. So there's zero work that can be done in that easement by easement properties, but also it's there because everything there is 100% wetland. The lighter green that goes up towards the house is currently wetland, or was until it got disturbed. No, down more, Anna.
There?
No, the light green, just to the left of where it says Schaffner. So you can just circle that area there. And as
This
you
one's
take that closer to the house, does that give you an idea, Renee?
Yes.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay.
What's the orange line though? Because there's like the
Oh, that's not a river line or anything like that. That's a grade line. That's an elevation line.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that's sometimes they're helpful because you might see where water peels off on one side versus the other, but in this case, it's extraneous. The
Okay.
things that we're really concerned with are all the
Green.
marshland little drawing components. You see that
Oh,
show
the thing
what-
that looks like little like bushes or whatever.
exactly.
Oh, that's
All
the
of
wetland
that-
line. So
all
the,
of that is
the
wetland, right?
It was, and then the neon green area, the shaded area in the back, that's the easement or something.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So basically, and the reason you had all those trees there for all those years, and they've been there for when they were restricted when they first built the house of cutting down very few trees in the back there
Sure.
because of the wetlands there. So everybody up until now has always lived with those trees. What we run into is that non-wetland scientists who may be made up of brokers who have a desire to want to sell the house, tree guys who think they figure things out but may not, don't confirm things with us, and they don't even pull this map up before they turn to a homeowner and they say, yes, you can go ahead and expand your backyard.
Well, again,
And-
honestly, the main driver wasn't even expansion. It was the inspection report said, hey, you've got trees that are too close to the home. If they fall, that's a hazard.
Yep.
So for me, it was
And
safety
so
was the biggest reason.
in situations like that, we have a tree bylaw, and so number one, the takeaway from this is before you want to do anything, you need to check with town regulations, and people are very helpful, the town hall. So, but you may not have even known that you were supposed to come to conservation.
Yeah, because that never happened in my
So-
previous home when I had trees removed. So if
Right.
I had known in the previous home, I would have done that. But
Yeah, so one of the things there is interesting, your deed, I don't know if you've read your deed. It's a very simple deed. The original deed, which your closing attorney probably should have showed you, has a page and a half of easements and restrictions, including a whole bunch of conservation
we never got
restrictions. Okay, and that's unfortunate because then they would have brought to light that it had several orders of conditions and that there were wetlands associated with there. So now we're at a situation where I'm going to, I think we have enough there. I'm going to see if I can pull up a photo of some of the damage that's been done here. And so basically, as you see, did my photo come up?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let me see if I can share that then. Excuse me. Looks fine on mine. No. Let's see. Let me share here. Okay. Okay. So to give you an idea, Adam, when this porch was built,
yep.
when the house was first done, sometime after that, they put a porch on, and they actually had to come to conservation and get permission after the fact for having put the porch on because it was way too close to the wetlands. Conservation granted them that. You would know that because you didn't get any of that information. All these basically dense shrubs that you see down here,
Yep.
those are all wetland indicator plants. So your wetlands is at least there. We don't really know exactly how much of it because a lot of the soil has been disturbed here. It then came up, and you can see some of the greenery here, and basically the wetlands comes all the way out to here. Okay, so any work you want to do on the back of the house needs permission.
Can I ask you a quick question? I don't know if you would know the answer to this, but like,
Mhm.
given on like that side of the house that the wetlands are coming closer to the house, should we be concerned about like the structural integrity of our home? And like
No,
water
no.
or anything
So
like that?
nope, because the foundation is a number of feet above that, even the bottom of the foundation.
Okay.
So the wetlands are just surface water, as well as depending on what's underneath there directing the water. But generally, you'll be fine, there. And unless your house is filled with cracks, it's these they go down below the frost wall, and it's above the wetland there. So at this point, any work you do in the backyard, you need permission. If you had known about the trees, we have within a wetland, we do allow you to cut down trees for the reasons you mentioned, safety, and things of that sort. And we make that pretty simple. You give us a call. Our consulting agent, Janet, comes out, meets with you, and she can on-site give you permission to remove up to 3 trees. And if you want to remove more, you hire a wetland scientist and basically come in with a request, and we hear it as we hear other things here. In this case here, we're looking at something. It looks like not only did you take trees, but you also brought some soil in as well.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And,
honestly, I was on a work trip when this all went through, so I don't know how
Yeah.
much of that is new versus old.
It appears from what normally cutting, I don't know if a second picture came up on that, showing the driveway.
This is not showing the driveway. This is
Oh,
showing
okay,
the
so I'll
backyard.
have to get that out of there then. Let me see if I can, so over here, I would calculate, and as a builder, there's probably a number of truckloads that came in with soil. Do you recall, Renee?
I don't know. I don't know the exact amount. I worked too. I was working while they were doing all this stuff as well. And
So
yeah.
did you ask them to bring in soil to sort of give you a little bit more of a yard, or?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know, like we didn't really they didn't say like we're gonna do X amount of trucks or whatever. They just said we'll
Mhm.
bring in a little bit to like help the
Flatten
hill
it out?
help the hill
Yep.
be less steep, and that was really how we left it.
And was that Nevin or was that Strawberry Hill?
Neither.
Oh, it was a different contractor?
Yeah.
Okay. So it looks like there was probably 100 yards minimum that was brought in, which would be depending on the size of the truck, could have been anywhere from 4 to 10 trucks
Okay.
that came in. And you'll be required to remove most of that. And at the same time, we want to quickly figure out a way to stabilize this so that with a big storm, our main concern is the wetland behind there is very sensitive to having all this dirt or much of this dirt washed into the wetland, during a storm. So Janet will come up with what's called an enforcement order that will outline the things that you'll need to do. GLM Engineering, which is now Truax Engineering in Holliston. They did the original engineering for a previous order of conditions. So they will have, if
Yeah,
you
that's
contact them.
that's the picture that I sent you was from GLM.
Right. So they have, as far as I could tell, for one of the intermediate orders of conditions, they also did that. So they outlined all the wetlands, updated the wetlands and so forth. If you're free to use anyone you want, but if they already have the plans, that may be a cost savings to you. And they're also very knowledgeable to basically locate where things are. They'll have the original grades and elevations, and also embody in that give some thought in terms of what it is you want to do, and they'll also guide you on what you can do. So that part of it would seem that one of the things you're looking at was to have a slightly more utilitarian yard rather than a big drop off to a wetland. We're limited in terms of what we can approve, but Truax should be able to help you, right from your original concern. And then there will be replanting that will be required because you've damaged a number of plants down here, took out a number of trees that were originally required to stay there. Were there some trees up in this neck of the woods? By the deck? I don't know if my
Yeah.
picture still up?
Honestly, like there were trees that were like where that excavator is, but again,
Yeah.
it was like,
But they were big.
Here's the big trees that are like literally over on top of your deck. You should remove
Mhm.
them. I was like,
Yep. So
I don't know what the number.
so we're basically trying to reconstitute what was there
Sure.
and what needs to come back.
Yeah.
And while we're at it, what can be done that is that hits a happy medium that complies with the state
Sure.
regulations here.
Yep.
Okay. So I think what we want to do is we definitely want to get this moving quickly because we don't want a bunch of exposed dirt flowing down into the stream. One of the things that we had was, let's see if I can pull this up. Did the picture change?
No, it's still the same excavation
I
photo.
don't know, for some reason I can't get, Anyway, the driveway is covered in dirt currently. Maybe the last rain did some of it, but that dirt had to go somewhere. It's doing worse than that going into the backyard. So Janet, why don't you give them an idea of what the enforcement order is going to require?
So John, in my regulatory report, I outlined, I did draft a recommended enforcement order for the commission to review tonight and then issue. It is our standard enforcement order for this type of disturbance.
Okay, and so one of the things, Adam, can you send all your contact information to the office, please? You can give Deb a call tomorrow so that we can get things out to you.
Okay.
I assume, I don't think we've had your email or anything like that. I had stopped by over the weekend as well, even afterwards, and I saw you had guests there.
Oh yeah, that's my father-in-law and mother-in-law.
Oh yeah, so and he was very protective of you guys, but I don't. So we have no contact information for you.
John.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So Adam did reach out to me after we
excellent.
Posted the cease and desist order. He gave me his contact, his email information. I did send him my regulatory review report, so
Got it.
he's aware of what the
Excellent.
enforcement order will entail.
Okay. Did you have a chance to read that, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand
Yeah,
most of it.
we did read it,
Yeah.
we don't understand a large majority of it.
Yeah, so we'll it's a great education opportunity. So Janet, do you want to touch base on the main aspects of this?
Sure. So as we discussed briefly, the first action item that I recommend is that we have the owners install erosion control. So they would need to reach out to a wetland scientist or perhaps just an environmental engineer. But I'm recommending that they install as close as possible to the edge of the disturbed areas. And we actually may need several sequenced because of the grading and the amount of fill. We might need several lines of erosion control. And what that's going to do is prevent any kind of further runoff in towards the wetland. So I would recommend that would be the first vote of the commission tonight, and we should set a firm deadline on that. And then the enforcement order itself that I outlined has 7.
Actually, can we just back up? I'd like to let Adam and Renee know what erosion control barriers are. Do you have any idea, Adam?
No.
No.
Okay, so you'll see them very frequently on the side of the road if somebody's doing work in a sensitive area. They're usually 12 to 18-inch round, green or black or straw-colored tubes that are staked into the ground. And what they do is they basically stop mud. And then you may also have seen 3-foot-high black fabric that goes from stake to stake. And that also stops mud. And that's the big concern here, is to prevent this pile of dirt and even the flat areas of dirt lower than it.
Can I ask a couple questions on that? So that would be permanent, right? And then who installs
No,
that?
that's not permanent. That's
Oh, it's not.
that's
Okay.
a temporary thing to just keep dirt from going in there.
Okay.
The goal eventually is to get out the excess dirt,
Yeah.
have a plan on what to actually do. The wetland scientists will help you come up with a replacement planting plan. And then when that's all done, all the erosion control barriers get removed.
So the
that-
plants act as like the
Right. So
natural.
it's amazing what even a lawn or a conservation mix, which is it can be a meadow mix. It has a series of different not shrubs, but plants and sedges and a number of low-lying planting that stabilizes the soil, so water tends to disperse over it rather than creating channels and bringing mud down into the wetland. And that will be described to you and shown to you by a wetland scientist. And also our office, will work with the wetland scientist on and making sure that everything is delineated properly relative to where things go. So Janet, continue, please. Oh, you're muted, Janet.
So immediate installation of erosion control would be the first item. And I've provided some detail in my recommendation. And then there are 7 specific action items that would be outlined in the enforcement order. And so the first step is to hire a professional to come out who will delineate the wetland resource boundaries in accordance with our regulations and the state, and looking at historical geographic maps, also determine the extent and document disturbance, the amount of fill, what type of vegetation and tree removals occurred. That would all be put into an inventory and then also shown on a site plan. And so that information then would come back to the commission for our review. The commission would have a better sense now of how much disturbance there was, what type of disturbance, how much fill, And then the next step would be to review and to require and review a restoration plan. But the next step outlined in the enforcement order is really just to do the site assessment work, to identify where are the wetlands, the amount of disturbance, the amount of fill, and then we would go from there.
Mhm. Okay. I would probably recommend if, as you look at the regulatory report, you have a large pile of dirt off the driveway. One of the things that may help that, relative to erosion control is getting at Ocean State or something like that, getting a 40-foot by 60-foot tarp and getting that over that dirt as soon as possible, to keep the rain off of, just flushing that down there. We do want to get this cleared up as soon as possible, and the erosion control can be more easily in place once you get that dirt out of there. Any questions regarding what Janet is proposing? Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I feel like I have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
So we're gonna hire someone to come and do that plan, and then the
Mhm.
first thing we'll do is that, and then after they come, then we do the temporary erosion control.
Mm.
No, is
Well,
that-
well, Janet is a good resource. So once you get in touch with Janet tomorrow, we can also give you a list of wetland scientists
okay.
who can help you out with that. As I mentioned before, and we very rarely direct you to one of them. We
Yeah.
stay very neutral. But I'm just thinking that if you can reach out, and Truex has it in their schedule, they have the plans for your property, which would give you a head start on things.
Okay.
But any wetland scientist that could get in there. They could then interface with Janet, and they can also set you up with erosion control barriers. Strawberry Hill is pretty familiar with this. If you've already reached out to them, they may be able to help you with that as well.
Do you know
So,
any other companies that do it other than Strawberry Hill?
yeah, there are a number, and that's
Okay.
something that
If you have any
you
other
can.
recommendations, that would be great.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I hear sometimes they can be a little pricey, or I don't know what your experience was with them, but yeah, this is stuff that needs to get in there very, very quickly.
Yep.
And one of the as you I don't know if you have the regulatory report up in front of you, or
Yeah, we were looking at it.
okay. So if you go down the photos there, it looks like somebody lined up a number of boulders down at the bottom there.
Yeah.
And
I just
so
a lot of rocks everywhere.
that will be an area that one of the first areas you'll want to do, and then you'll move closer up and put another line in there. So talk to Janet.
Is it like a straight across, like?
You tend to curve it around to match the contours.
Okay.
And that will be very helpful, and may actually go down beyond the couple large boulders that are there, right where you some of the trees. There's still some logs down there, so that will probably be closer there. That will interrupt things right at the edge of the wetlands, and then there'll be another one closer to the house.
Okay.
And Janet, do you have that? I assume you have a list of wetland scientists, or is that from in the office?
I think I have a list, but just
Okay.
to clarify, I do think it would be appropriate for the commission to vote on the immediate stabilization requirement and to
Mhm.
set a deadline,
Mhm.
and then separately take up the enforcement order and a vote on that.
Okay. So that's and the reason, Adam and Renee, is that it's really, really crucial to stop dirt from getting into the wetland. So that's why it's set up that way. I will entertain a motion to relative to the erosion control emergency.
Move to require erosion control, what do we want to say, a week?
Janet, what's your deadline?
I did not set a deadline. So I would think a week would be doable and reasonable.
Okay,
Okay.
within 1 week, to have erosion control in place.
Have
on
to
site.
get, that means we have to get the the scientist out to do the whole report and then also get everything installed by a week? Is that?
No, I think
No.
the wetland scientists, if you can get somebody out quickly, they will be helpful, but they don't need to do the whole report at that point. They can just and actually, Janet, would you be the person showing where you would want the erosion control, or do you want
That was my next question, yeah.
No, I think it would be appropriate for them to hire someone, a
Okay.
wetland professional, and they would
Mhm.
propose something, and I
A
can.
professional landscaper or a professional wetlands?
No, you need a wetland specialist because the landscaper may not recognize where the edge is for your wetlands. They
Okay.
may not recognize the plants. So they can, and then they may know landscapers that they can recommend to get this in quickly.
And then when we hire them and they look at it and they can tell us where to put it, they will do the work for us, or then we have to hire a landscaping company to do the work that they say to do.
Right, you may be an excavation contractor, you know, whose machine is the little excavator?
What's the name of the company?
I don't have it on file.
We don't have, we'll have to look it up.
And so did you hire them directly, or did they come in via one of your other contractors?
Yeah, via one of the other contract. I can find it. But
Okay.
yeah, either way, like
They may know where, you know, they may be able to install that
Okay,
erosion control
okay.
for you. So
Yeah.
it's those type of people who typically do the installation. It's the wetland scientist who tells you where to put it.
Okay.
So that's how that works. And so if you contact Janet tomorrow, she'll be able to give you the contact information for the wetland scientists. And as I said, you know, reach out to Truax to see if you can get something quickly. And then and if not, there are other ones you can go, contact and see if they can help you out in a pinch there.
Okay.
Okay. Janet, next, what would you like to have? Okay, we haven't finished voting on that.
Second.
Okay. Thank you. All in favor? Sarah?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Zaga?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. And then the next part, Janet?
The next part is issuance of an enforcement order with
Mm-hmm.
the first steps. That's there's 7 specific items in that enforcement order.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and that is when you'll go beyond Adam and Renee, then that's the next step as immediate as possible, or maybe even parallel to when you're doing this, is to get a plan done of that and basically come out with how you're going to restore this. Okay. Let's see, I'll entertain a motion.
Oh, John, I'm sorry.
Yes.
The one item under the action item 2 under the enforcement order,
Yep.
I have put in a 5-week deadline. I thought 5 weeks to have this work done was reasonable, but I just wanted to have commission.
Sorry, can I ask a couple of questions before you this is a lot of information
Sure.
in the 7 steps. I will pull up the document. So I understand the first couple. I think that's what you guys were just talking about. And then based on the report, it says number 3 would be we have to like replant some shrub. Was it shrub? I just don't understand like what this replanting is going to look like and like how extensive it's going to be and
That's
how to organize
what
that.
That's embodied in working with the wetland scientist and
Okay.
Janet relative to as you're closer to the wetland, there's different types of planting that's required there.
Okay.
It's also a matter of trying to reconstruct what plants had been there. You will have to replant a number of trees, but obviously they won't
And
be
they will
40
tell
feet
us
tall.
what kinds of trees or
Yep, they'll come up with a
shrubs,
planting plan. They're a planting plan that will actually on that plan will show what gets planted where and what it is. You know, if it's a 1.5-inch tree that might be 6 feet tall, it's, you know, knowing how it's going to grow. Certain shrubs, blueberry bushes that are great for wildlife, a little closer to the wetland. They'll outline all of that, and that's part of, and they'll know what to do based on these steps here, and they can talk you through it.
Okay.
Okay.
And then are we going to be able to retain any space that is currently doesn't have plants on it, or is it going to be plants all over it, or we don't really know that until we get the report back?
We don't know either, because we could actually, from the air, we couldn't see much because of the trees.
Okay.
Which we understand why that was, what was, why your concerns were there. They'll be taking a look at the what's called the hydrology, where the water is underneath the soil and what plants will survive.
Mhm.
And then they'll do a gradation of from what's called wetland plants to upland plants. And also, hopefully you'll only do this once. So also be looking at what it is you wanted to accomplish, which you did, because you got rid of some of the trees that you were concerned about. But we have to hit a happy medium in terms of the extensive wetlands there you have and where you can actually have lawn. And that will all come out as the plan gets
Okay.
done.
And then I don't understand what number 4 says at all.
So Janet, I'm curious on this. Third party for a review. Is there, I don't see anything particularly technical about this relative to if they get the proper wetland scientist. What's your concern about getting a third party review in here?
Well, we have more recently, especially at 90 Claybrook, and this is a much more substantial disturbance at 90 Claybrook. But we have brought Paul in to do a third-party review, especially when the wetland line is critical. They're going to have to be looking at soils here because there is no vegetation. So this simply gives the commission, and it puts the owners on notice that we may bring in a third party, which I would actually recommend in this case, but that does not have to be decided tonight.
Okay. So what we say is, why don't we, on that, the commission, it says that we reserve the right. So if we find that everything has been so disturbed and a normal wetland scientist has difficulty figuring out where the wetland line is, we bring in a third-party wetland scientist who sort of looks over their shoulder, and they confirm, and they have certain tools at hand to figure out where that actual wetland line is, and everyone comes to agreement, and then that has a bearing on what your restoration plan would be. So
What's typically the cost associated with that?
that you wouldn't get a blind, you'd get a proposal from that third party person before they there are any bills incurred. So it really depends on how difficult a task it is. It's fairly well confined, so I don't know, it may be several $1,000s, to do that from start to finish, but that's where it's been in line with what they've charged homeowners before.
I guess my concern is that if we're going with someone, we don't know any wetland scientists. If we're going with someone that you recommend, wouldn't they be up to the job? I don't feel like 4 is necessary given the fact that we're already working with everybody you're suggesting.
Well, no, so we'll give you a list of people that have been in front of us that we're aware of. We make no qualitative representations on that. But I believe all of them have come in front of us and are familiar with things. It's really a matter of whether or not, if they do this and they come up with a very aggressive wetland line, and we think it's too aggressive, then that's where we bring in a third party to double check them. And most of them are pretty reasonable in terms of not being overly aggressive. But in this case, from the pictures, there's been so much soil disturbance that it's difficult for normally they take a look at vegetation. Now they have to use what are called augers. They're done by hand, but they get down 3 feet or so, and they give them an idea of where the wetland soils are. So it is a little scary because there's an unknown here, but it's not something that we haven't seen people taking advantage of. It helps things move smoother and faster, and in the end, very often ends up saving back and forth money. So we're reserving that right. If you get a wetland scientist in there who makes a presentation to us and everything looks like everything, that it's a very well done report, then we may not require a third party. So there's a series steps here, and we're willing to keep you informed every step of the way. But we just want to make sure it happens in a quick period of time. Okay.
Other questions?
Any questions about the other components there?
5, I understand. Can you explain 6?
Yeah, that's basically ongoing meetings, and as we would expect you to be, to be present at ongoing meetings as we discuss this. So we'll get a report. Number one, you'll get Janet will come out to take a look at your erosion control once they get installed. Then we'll get a report from a wetland scientist. We'll have a hearing. We expect you to be at the hearing. If we just so that things don't have to be repeated. And then so it just incorporates constant communication between us. Tim?
John, it's you or your representative have to be at the meeting, not both. You can be, but you don't have to be if you're sending.
What do you mean by your representative?
So wetland
You can send an
scientist.
engineer,
Right.
Yeah.
wetland scientist.
Yeah.
I would just like to add one thing. I know this is a lot. If you've got questions as you're working with the people you bring on, they'll be able to answer a lot of questions, but you can also contact Janet or contact us. And like, it might be a bunch of project work, but like, we're also here to answer questions on what we're looking for. So if you have any hesitation at all, like ask for time and we can let you know what we're thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And as we're not, I think it's come across so far, we're not here to beat you up. We're here to,
It's very shocking to us, and
Yeah.
no. So and we took it as
understand.
such. Yeah, and so we're here to help out. We're not we're but we also were here to give a little nudge if things aren't happening. But it's not a we're not being punitive. We're here as I mentioned earlier. It's educational. You guys are going to come out of this learning a lot. But we've we'll work as we're all neighbors. So we wanted to
So this is
protect the wetlands that are behind there and restore things properly.
this is a Tom Jones situation. It's not unusual.
Yeah.
I
I don't know if you guys will be able to answer this question, but once this whole process has been done, what do you think we're looking at financially for us here to complete this?
Ooh,
It's tough to give a range. It really depends on who's involved, whether there's, it's pretty rocky soil, so you're probably not going to be out there with rakes on your own, at least for this stage of things. So you'll get an idea once you start talking to the professionals on this. But it will so it will cost. It's not $1,000 job. But I really can't, and it's also not a $50,000 job. So I don't want to scare you off, but you'll have to arrange some of that pricing, and you'll have stepstones. So you'll be able to come to us, and your wetland scientist will come to us and say, this is what we propose. And then the wetland scientist will give you a planting list, and it may even be able to help you, or you can hire a landscaper who can give you an idea what those plants will cost. And then you'll, on an ongoing basis, you'll get an idea.
So we're allowed to choose whatever plant supplier and landscaper we want to use, as long as it's the plants that are in the plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's nothing exotic there. It's there are people who specialize in wetland plants all across the state, and also the trees are not exotic. So
and surprise, they're all native species, local species.
Yeah.
That's what we grow there anyway. So
right. So and they're not huge, which is another thing that reflects in cost, because we know they'll grow. So so that's any other questions concerning this? So let us know. We know it can be overwhelming. We recognize that. So talk to us and we'll work it out. Okay. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to move on the enforcement order.
Move to issue an enforcement order as outlined in the agent's report, 7 steps.
For 21 Schaffner Lane.
For 21 Schaffner Lane. Yeah.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Sarah,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Zaga,
Aye.
Anna,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, so your contact person on this will be Janet, who can help you out with some referrals and things of that sort.
Sorry, I have
Uh,
one more question.
okay.
I was reading the document and I saw something that said like, once the enforcement order is issued, that it's going to be like reflected on our title. What does that mean? And does that, and we're planning on living here for a long time, but
Mm-hmm.
does that affect like our ability to sell the house in the future, or what exactly does that mean?
Janet, what's your? I didn't see that part of your.
I don't recall anything in here indicating, sometimes in the past, we've, had the enforcement order recorded at the registry, but we have not
what it
required that lately. I didn't see anything in here on that.
Okay.
It said that.
So basically, if this becomes a notice of intent, or we come up with something that just says there was approved work done within the wetland buffer, as Janet said, that may be recorded. That does not affect your value, especially as a matter of fact, it's very neutral. Doesn't enhance it, doesn't really detract from it. I would say one of the issues that you had going in was that somebody did a very easy job on your deed and did not they did not even
Whose
make a
fault is
reference
that? Like,
to
who should have been, informing us?
I'm not a lawyer, so
Yeah.
you can talk to your closing attorney ask them why you weren't aware of all these things.
Yeah.
But there's as we went through our office, there's a history of people doing work there, all with approvals. But clearly, by having that, and those are all recorded at the registry of deeds. So if your closing attorney does it, and I don't know if did you have an attorney who represented you?
We did, yeah.
So you could ask them if you want. I don't know what they can do about it, but why you weren't made aware of the wetlands that were there.
Mhm.
If we if we end up recording something, it will note that there are wetlands there, but generally closing attorneys would be pointing that out to you.
Yeah,
Uh,
is there any, like, should there have been any responsibility on the previous owner to inform this
No.
to us as part of like?
No,
this
because
sale?
as far as they're concerned, it's all a matter of record. So the only thing here that is one wonders is why none of that record was brought to your attention,
Right.
which many attorneys don't. And so and normally a deed and I don't know who wrote the deed, but the deed makes a reference to um, easements and matters of record. It's a one sentence line, and then it's up to a closing attorney to see if there's anything of note there. So
Yeah.
that's I'm not sure
It's-
you can go chasing after somebody on a blame basis there.
Yeah.
But it's always good to have somebody to yell at.
Yeah. But it's it's perfectly reasonable to ask them a question. And you could ask them for the title paperwork that they did, and just see. But all of that stuff was done and approved and closed out, so it was actually no longer pertaining to your property, but it gives you a historical record.
Yeah.
Very few attorneys actually are that helpful. They're just working through and having a closing.
Yeah, well, it actually does pertain to the property because it defines the wetland line and what.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
What you can do, what you can't do.
Yeah, but there's no law requiring an attorney has to bring that to your attention.
Right.
and
Even
yeah,
though we think
you're
they
muted,
should.
Adam. What was that?
No, I was just.
No, we have to put our son to bed.
Oh, okay, got it. So that's where we're at. We need to, the quick thing for progress is to get the erosion control in there so that we don't do that. As I mentioned, we don't have it in this as a condition, but a large tarp really helps. If we get a really heavy rainstorm, it really helps protect that. So it's an easy thing to do, and it's not that expensive. So we voted on all that. So we're Janet, you have
Wants
your
to say
hand up.
something. She rose her hand.
Yes, I am now looking at the stop work order that we issued, which is kind of
Yeah.
a older form. And I
Yeah.
see Renee's comment is relative to that because it does say that this enforcement order or this work order will be recorded against the title. But
I see.
we are currently not doing that.
Okay. So that was an old form. Again, it's something we reserve, but frankly, by doing the enforcement order rather than requiring you to do what's called a notice of intent, which definitely would get recorded, this does not require that, or doesn't default to that requirement.
Okay.
So, okay. Okay, then onwards and upwards, and good luck.
Thank you.
I don't know if you took a formal vote.
We did.
Did we? We did.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we all set?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, there you are. If you disappeared off my screen for a minute, sorry. So yeah, good night to the kids, and
Yeah.
we will we'll be in touch.
All right,
Okay.
thank you. Take care.
Thank you. You too. Okay. That ends our public hearings for the evening. First up on the discussion is Charles River tree and debris removal issues with Ted Ladd, and thanks for hanging in there, Ted. And Janet, why don't you give us a quick overview?
Sure. So Ted had sent us an email, which was distributed to all of you. And I just want to, first of all, thank Ted for being such a good steward of his property
Mhm.
and of the Charles River and Trout Brook as well. Over the years, as he outlined, he has done a lot of work voluntarily to keep that area as healthy as possible. And so we really appreciate that. His concern is that he has seen a lot of downed trees and other debris in the Charles River. And his question was, does the commission, what if anything, can the commission do to require private property owners to better maintain their property so that there's safe passage along the Charles River? I did send an email to our wetland circuit rider, Alicia Gellin. She got back to me, I guess it was just today. No, it was late yesterday, and I got that out today. So she has indicated that the Concom would have jurisdiction if the property owner submits a permit application, an RDA or an NOI. At that point, we would have the authority to require the work that they want done. She said the only exception for our mandating the work when someone doesn't voluntarily come to propose it is, in fact, there is a violation of the Wetlands Protection Act, in which case we could issue an enforcement order. But she says tree branches, other natural debris that fall into the river are not a violation of the Wetland Protection Act. She said someone dumping landscaping debris into the river would be a violation. But I don't think that's what, that's not the case here. So it looks like the answer is we really do not have any jurisdictional authority unless we catch someone dumping into the river, or if someone comes before us voluntarily for a permit to remove trees. But it does bring up the issue, and I've seen it myself. There are sections of the river that are almost impossible to kayak or canoe through because of either trees have fallen or something is snagging debris and it just builds up over time. So,
I had a question or comment that the Charles River is a navigable waterway and under the jurisdiction of the
PCR or
no the
Harbor Master.
no the
a state.
no with a C I'll think of it, but it's the Corps of Engineers, Army Corps of
Oh.
Engineers.
Mm-hmm.
And they're supposed to keep the waterway clear for navigation. So, Ted, have you contacted the Army Corps of Engineers?
I have not.
That might be a good idea.
Well, I think I just want to get through a couple of questions and then we can sort of come up with an approach here.
Sure.
Anna, you had your hand up?
Yeah, at the risk of signing up the three of us on trails for way too much work, is this something we could help out with?
Well, my question on this is the response we got from DEP. I'm not surprised because philosophically, if something falls in the woods or in the river, it's natural and and we're not supposed to interfere with it. However, the Charles River Watershed Association frequently comes through and cleans up watercress and all sorts of invasives and seems to have the ability to do that in that navigable water. I was just curious, Ted, does your property line stop at the riverbank or does it go into the river?
I think it goes to the thread of the river, but I'm not sure, John.
Because I know in certain, like with certain streams through town, it's not unusual for it to go to the midline of the stream. But so under DEP, we're not obligated to do anything. The question is, as a town or as conservation or trails maintenance folks, is there something that we could do that would make things better in certain parts of the river? And I think we haven't had time to really look into it, but I think the Charles River Water Association may be our first stop to check and see what rules they operate under, because they have plenty of experience with that. It's funny how this is sort of it's a gap. We haven't had the call before. Go ahead, Tim.
So based on Janet's description of what the DEP said, I don't think we could actually go in and clean it up without filing first.
Which we could file as a town. We do that on certain
yes, we
certain
could,
areas.
but I think we have to do that.
Yeah, but I think part of that would be rather than reinvent the wheel, why don't we talk to an association that does this regularly and see what they say? And because this question, as we drive by, we cross the river in multiple locations. There are places in Needham where as you go over to Chestnut Street there, and you see trees that have been there for a number of years that are just blocking things. So Ted, was it primarily the question of trees and things of that like, or were you talking about invasives and some of the stuff that you do on a regular basis with yours?
I think the invasives are primarily in the streams. I've been working on Trout Brook for maybe 40 years to keep it open. But I think the bigger problem is the flow of the Charles, which is really degrading at this point in my unscientific analysis.
So you think it's getting slower, or?
I think it's accelerating because people are not taking the responsibility for the waterfront in front of them. And I appreciate, and Janet has summarized this brilliantly. If there's no legal ability, is there some sort of moral suasion that the commission could use to try to encourage people to clean up the river in front of them?
And I think that's something we're going to, we obviously haven't done. We don't have any regulations relative to it, but I think it's a valid thing for us to look at. I think one of the things that may hasten that as well is the removal of the dam in South Natick may affect the river in a different way. I would, Anna, can you, rather than having you go out there and waders just yet, can you contact the Charles River Watershed Association and run these things by them?
I will, and maybe I'll talk to them. Maybe they can come in and explain or something and figure out what it is done.
And they seem to have the skill to enable large groups of volunteers
Yeah.
and, in canoes to go ahead and clean things up. They do it at Red Wing Bay and things like that. So it'd be interesting to see what steps we can take there.
Yeah.
And
So I just wanted to mention, Ted mentioned in his message that he had reached out to Charles River. And the
okay.
executive director, Emily Norton, pointed to us to have him contact us. So
Well, why don't we
I'll try contacting her and
yeah,
say,
let's
we're
contact,
going in
yeah, and
circles.
let's
Can I
just
talk to you?
yeah, exactly. Because we really don't know, and and also certain things may be good. I'm not sure, Ted. What's your thought on if people allowed to? So, is your concern is that debris sheds off on people's from people's property and causes? I'm not clear how the water goes faster if debris is falling into it.
I'm not sure at all.
Okay,
But
but
it's the-
your observation has been the current has gotten faster over the last 40 years?
My observation is that there are more trees and debris and snags in the river.
Okay.
So
And
John, if you narrow a stream, it speeds up until it spreads out again.
that's a reasonable hydraulic assumption. Yeah. One of the things, just for your information, Ted, is we had a fisheries group come in and give us a report on Trout Brook. I don't know if you were aware
Yes.
of that at all.
I am,
And
yes.
that some of Trout Brook, the slowing of Trout Brook, actually had to do with beavers upstream.
Yes.
And that which was a fascinating thing and has affected the temperature of the water and all that.
Yep.
And so nature doesn't always go along with what we want
Yep.
aesthetically, but I think this is a start. I really appreciate you bringing it to our attention, and we'll see if we can stop the cycle of oh, talk to somebody and have it come back to us. Let's see if we can get some answers on this.
Well, I'm very grateful that you would consider this. My self-assessment is I'm much better at identifying problems than finding solutions, but this is a problem.
Oh, well, do I
We
call
all
it a
are.
talent? I would view that as a talent. So, great. Well, thank you much. And then check in with
Okay.
us from time to time, and we'll we'll put this on the agenda whenever we have any answers.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Night. Let's see. Next we have land. Actually, I'm looking through the land management update. Oh, unmute, please.
I'm very excited today. Yes, we've been busy on trail maintenance, both the bog bridges and cutting the Whistler Trail. Let me see if I can I got photos this time, which is kind of exciting for me. Just give me a moment. Let's see. But there we are. I'll share my screen. So these are our 5 bog bridge sections that are underway in Greg's driveway. You can see we've cut some of our decking. We found pipe. It turns out DPW has a whole bunch of piping we can use for the bases on these again. We talked about the piles in Springdale and thought we still didn't need them, but we'll keep an eye out when we go to install. So we've got our pipe. Greg was over there loading up his truck full today, so we're going to be doing this. He bought additional fasteners so we can put this decking on and get to our next milestone soon. So let's see what we got. Another shot. And then in September, last week in September, we were out cutting the trail in Wildwoods to kind of go around the rocky section that had eroded away near Whistler. And I think it's 163 Center is the address. Dave Williams brought his tractor for an hour and we got a ton done. So we were very excited about that. But here's looking down that hill. You can see our nice wide trail that should be equestrian friendly. And then another shot that's like a normal sized rake on a normal sized tree. So you can see we covered some good distance. And then I think that let's see where we oriented. I think it's just behind, this is also looking down right past where that rake was, with my cursor's coming across the cross section of trail there and there. So we were excited. it was also a gorgeous fall day, so we're doing that. And next up for our planning agenda, we're going to be working on just a better sense of trail projects we want to do this year so we can get a budget in front of everybody and not be doing it last minute. We're tentatively thinking to do more of the plank bridges and less of the built out bog bridges, just because there's some small sections that would do well with just a plank. And we don't need to do this whole construction, and possibly some benches. We've been kicking around either contracting with someone in town to build them, building them ourselves, buying them just out in the woods so people can sit and take a rest. We recently have been talking more about making the trails more accessible, and like it's difficult to resurface everything, but we can start with putting benches around, and that's kind of our exciting idea.
There's a have you been to Red Wing Bay?
I've driven by. I'm not sure if I've actually
So
gone
if you
out.
basically you can enter it from actually it's not even Red Wing Bay specifically where the Needham Rail Trail goes by the Parker School. If you go in off of that down to there's a little bay there, but if you go to the right of that, there's a field with a perimeter walkway around it. And check it out. Number one, it's really pretty, and there's loads of birds there. But they have these benches that are almost like hinge benches. They are so elegantly simple. They're worth
And have
checking
them
out.
on Powysset too, I think.
Oh, is it the
They have
same?
Leopold benches, I think.
Trustees have been throwing benches up all over the place these days. It's great.
So I was just say they stood out to me because they were just so simple, and so it's just an option, you know, a thought.
Yeah, so that sounds good. And let's see, we also are still working on getting a more holistic view of the maintenance we want to do. So that's where we are. It's pretty exciting right now.
And do we have blazes on certain trails or?
We finished the Blue Trail in Wildwoods. We haven't gotten to the next trail. We're also, Rick in specific has been really excited about cutting some new trails, especially to redirect mountain bikers away from equestrians.
Cool.
So I'm not sure whether we're going to blaze an existing trail or whether we were going to start cutting that one and blaze it as we go. We haven't planned it, so I haven't brought it in front of everyone. And then also we're thinking about doing a trail along Oak Hill in Snows Hill.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other nuggets?
Oh, we want to put up some signs. We want to get some wooden signs, like especially for Springdale Meadow. So we will get there at some point.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see. There's also an update on DLCT Pine Street conservation restriction. I assume that would be normally Amy. Does anyone have anything to address that?
I think we just had some emails with Amy who said she wanted to get this finalized, but she couldn't work on it. And Janet mentioned she was busy, and I volunteered I have no idea what I'm doing with CRs, but would love to get it going.
Okay. Let's see. Actually, this seems like a decent place for me to pop in on a few things. I looked at, let me see if I can share this. I was, there we go. Did anything come up on the screen?
Yes.
Okay. So this is we addressed this a number of years ago. There's a conservation restriction on 157 and 165, I guess it is, Center Street. And what's unusual about the conservation restriction, this is the one where we dealt with David Parrish tore down a mid-century modern there. And it came to our attention that there was a chicken coop that purportedly was being rented out on Airbnb, and they had enlarged it, and it was within the restricted area. So that appears like they took down the decking, they took off roughly 25% of the building, the part that had been added and so forth. That all seemed to be clear. And we dealt with, we reviewed the conservation restriction, and it is a lot of it has to do with the views that you see from Center Street and to maintain those views. I don't know if any of you, we had a site visit at one point with somebody who bought 157, which was Richie Powers' property. This is the years go by, but it was probably within the last 10 years.
That was
And
the
he
Norton
cut it-
family.
What's that?
Those are the Nortons, Jackie and Chip Norton.
Are they the people who have it's now back, it's on, they're selling it?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and he was psyched and he went out and he cut down a bunch of trees and invasives along the stone wall there and opened up that vista, and he got back some of the invasives that were spreading out from the pond down there. This case here, there are 40 arborvitae that were planted recently along the road here. And the only reason I can surmise is that they're there to give them some privacy eventually. And unfortunately, the conservation restriction does not allow them to have that privacy because it makes it very clear that it is a viewscape easement, that you should be able to see the fields from the street. So we've pulled together the information, and I'll talk to Amy when she's available, because she was involved in this a bit as well. And we will be sending a letter out to them to have them come to a meeting to discuss that. So I just wanted to bring this to people's attention that someone had brought it to our attention, and I went out, and that runs a good portion of the way towards Medfield, with all of those. Additionally, there are a number of sections of trees that have grown up. They're pretty much opportunistic. Many of them are 4 inches or under in terms of diameter. And similar to Mr. Norton, some of those should be trimmed as well to maintain the vista. I think, a judicious, having some trees there is always nice for contrast, but not allowing them to just grow up and block things. So that's something that we will have to introduce ourselves to the current owners with. So I just wanted to, since we were talking about CRs, we will get to that. Let's see. Next, we have a review of the 12/13/23 meeting minutes. Did anyone have a chance to review those?
Actually, I'm going to chime in. No one has, because I didn't send those out. I was hoping
okay.
to be able to get to those.
Okay.
They were much longer than I expected and needed a lot of revising. So
Okay.
my goal will be to get those out for the next meeting. But I do think we should have a conversation going forward about meeting minutes. I know Dale works hard to probably capture a lot, but it's just, there's too much in the minutes. I do think if Deborah has the time, that she would be much better suited to dictate and transcribe the minutes, just because she has had exposure to commissions. So
It's interesting. So I was in the office today speaking with Deb, and she brought up the difference between Dale's meeting minutes, which are basically a recitation of virtually everything, and Lori's minutes before she got swamped with things, and which were very concise and summarized things. And so we're going to pull those up side by side and take a look, and also with Deb's experience to come up with a format that conveys what's required, and no more than that, so that we don't have these tomes that we have to review. So, and then the whole point is talking to town council is we have our decisions are all recorded and so forth. If somebody is involved in litigation, which fortunately we have had very few requests for minutes over the years, that with the Zoom hearings, everything is available on YouTube for somebody to review. So we don't need to create a verbatim report if they can just go watch it as well. So that's something we'll be looking at over the course of the next month or so. Let's see.
Say one thing on that super quickly. What we're doing in land management right now, and granted, our meetings are an hour; they're not our full length. I've been taking minutes as we go, like right into a Google Doc on the agenda, and then we're just looking at that in the meantime, and then approving it the next meeting. So it's easier, but it might help to do it as we go, especially since it doesn't have to be perfect transcription.
I don't know. Yeah, John, I don't know if
you and Janet had a chance to look at what I call kind of a very quick and dirty summary, like a day after.
So was that something you sent out?
I did. I
okay.
sent that a little over a week ago. And if you feel that the idea is okay, similar kind of to what you're saying, Anna,
Yeah.
with a little more teeth behind it, you know.
Great.
But if you think, generally speaking, that makes sense, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, well, let's I'll review that because I missed that. And yeah, I think we're just looking for that happy medium. And and it's great that we have experience with both ends. Now let's see what the middle looks like. So let's see. Regarding the operating budget request discussion, we haven't had a subgroup looking at this or anything like that, but we have, I think, we have certain touchstones that we're still a few months away from. One of the things I was asked to look into by the town was to see how our peer towns are looking at that. So I have been pulling that together. My sense on, and this is the discussion, so I'm just outlining thoughts and, you know, have people chip in here. But one of the things that I mentioned last week was that Janet's current budget, which is, Janet, is it 85,000?
I think it's 88.
Okay, yeah, I think you're right. So 88. And then that overage that we've have requested each time, you know, for the last 2 to 3 years, has much of that overage actually appears to be things that Janet does for the town on behalf of the Conservation Commission, as opposed to her consulting directly for us. I currently don't have a problem with maintaining that because it gives us an opportunity to let the to direct the attention of the powers that be that this is extra and that this is, you know, that we're staying relatively close to the contract, but when we look for an additional transfer of funds, it's because there's a whole bunch of additional work that's being called upon beyond just consulting for us. And so that's a thought that's popped into my mind, you know, fairly consistently over the last few months. But at the same time, it's a head scratcher because each time we are asking for more money, I think it gives us an opportunity to point out what other skills Janet brings to this and have it be, and maintain it that way. But I think, you know, it'll take me probably another month to do the peer review and then give us an idea of what to compare it to. Any comments? Okay, so I think it's just an ongoing thing. Cam?
Cam?
Yep.
Yeah, just in consideration of that, John, it might make sense to actually have a reserve put into that your operational budget, knowing that that's likely to happen and marking that as extra work for the town rather than then having to come back and get reserve funds for it. If you're expecting it to happen, I don't think it's unreasonable to put that into your operating budget.
So would we put it into the operating budget as a reserve, you know, like an overspill reserve, or do we go
or
ahead
anticipated
and say,
consulting expenses, something really very simple as that. And of course, if you don't spend it, it'll go back to the town anyway. So it's not a particularly painful thing, but it means you don't have to go through this process of asking for more money to get, you know, to be able to do it. So I think that might be a smarter way to do it. But hey,
So
you can decide however you want to do it.
so if our run rate is really realistically 120,000 a year as opposed to 88,000.
Right, put in the 120,000 and mark some of it for work, consultation work done for the town.
Okay, or a reserve for town consultation work.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. May require us to have an extra category when we invoice, but no, thanks. I think that's an interesting point. Okay.
You might also, you know, pass that through to Woody Weiss, who who is now the chair of the warrant committee, he might have some thoughts on how you can
Yeah,
approach
no,
it
I think
as well.
that's the goal. I think is we don't want to reinvent the wheel here, but
Yeah, right.
and see what are options that are acceptable. I think those are both great ideas. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Any other comments? Okay, then let's we'll continue to work on that and discuss it agenda to agenda. Let's see, the review and approval of Zega's town newsletter. Did anyone have a chance to read that? I know we had a lot of emails.
I might have missed it, but were you involved in the last social media posting that went out like a week or two ago?
No.
Okay. Someone was, and I heard a comment. It was fantastic.
Oh,
But
well,
we
it
don't
wasn't
know
me.
but we don't know what it was.
I think you can have credit for it. Yeah.
The any ideas on what it was, or when you say social media, did it just come out on our website, on the
I think it
town
was
website, or-
Facebook, town Facebook.
Oh,
Yeah.
do we post on that?
Apparently we do.
Okay. Well,
Somebody's
something
doing
look-
it.
It's something worth looking into.
Yeah.
Zega, do you want to take a look through some of the Facebook
Yeah.
postings to see if,
Yeah, happy to do
yeah.
that.
Yeah, that'd be great. So there's a Dover one. There's also it's not like neighborhood or whatever, but it's on Facebook. It's a town of Dover folks.
Yeah.
who belong to
Yeah,
that.
there's like the official
Yeah,
Town of Dover government one, and then there's the like community Dover
right,
one.
right. And then there's the free stuff one, but we're not giving away any land. So
Yeah.
great, appreciate that. So basically, so Zega, I did not, to be honest, I did not review. What was your posting on?
The article is about drought and, Dover's relationship with drought, even though we feel like maybe we're coming out of it now. I don't know, fingers crossed, we're getting more rain. And just like describing in plain terms what does drought actually mean, and laying out, because we've been in like the lowest level of drought, like what does that require of us as a community, and a little bit about like wetlands and drought. I know Amy read it and she gave me a few like just minor typo correction things. So at least somebody read it, and nobody's going like, oh my gosh, this is all wrong. I had a lot
Where
of
is she
fun,
coming
like,
from?
It looks
I had a
good.
lot of fun digging in.
Does it roll back to well water and things of that sort as well, or?
Yeah, I mean, there's the whole concept of like, when we conserve water, then we're helping maintain the groundwater and the wetlands, which are helping us by storing the water during drought. So it's sort of a like, we're working together to make sure that we have the water supply we need for our community. It was like kind of my overarching concept. And then saying like what the state has to say, and then links to, more information for people.
Yeah,
who
some good
want to find out more.
resources on that, Saga. Nice resources.
Yeah.
I'm just pulling it up now, and I really like the educational tone. I think does a really good job. I'll read it more closely and see if I have anything to say, but it looks great. You could point out that the recycling committee often has rain barrels for sale.
Good
for
point.
harvest
Good point.
rainwater.
I've been
You can
trying to
buy
get my
them
dad to
too.
get one of those for years.
Yeah, I always wondered, because I had one for a while, but when I use it, the water doesn't go very far because it's, depending, we have an awful lot of plants, and so I always wondered about that.
Yeah, like I wasn't sure how much, and maybe if people want to comment on the length, I didn't see, Janet had sent me like the general information of like, this is how you make an article for our town, but there didn't seem to be, it seemed like brevity was better. There were definitely more things that I could have put in. Like I was learning a lot about how like you really shouldn't overwater your lawn, because that's actually, it weakens the roots for when there is drought, and that there's irrigation systems out there that are much more, that never ending, like all their sprinklers are going on to the driveway and they come on when it's raining and they, it's like there are more sensitive sprinkler systems out there now that are like more programmable and stuff, which I feel like people in Dover would generally have the budget for. But like I didn't include that stuff in the article because I was like, well, how long do I want to ramble? And they have the ability to edit too.
I
So
could
they
see
can
this. I
shorten
mean,
it.
I think I have this in front of me, and I think it looks great. I think the concept of maybe looking at something that might be, you could do a serial that brings in, that gives you that ability. One of the things as a builder, I'll let you know that most people don't set the timer on their microwave and don't know how to program their irrigation system.
Yeah.
So they may, and and maybe letting people know that it is programmable and that you can go ahead and turn the head, and so it doesn't go in your driveway, and give some reasons for that. But I think those types of a serial thing, so that we can maintain the bite-sized bit of things. But
Yeah.
John,
something like
I have a system that's fairly old. I haven't used it in years because I don't believe in lawns anymore. But it had an outdoor sensor for rain.
Yeah. Oh no, they were all installed with that.
Yeah.
For some reason, people bump into them. I mean, they're usually attached to a house, but
Right.
the irrigation
I kept
guy
mine
goes,
under the deck.
well, yeah, and so then it never gets any rain. So
Right.
under the deck.
No, I
And
didn't.
that's
Really.
yeah, and that's
Yeah,
it.
and
That's
it
the
also
thing.
sounds like the irrigation systems that do more like the drip irrigation that gets to the roots as opposed to the like
Yes.
is better
Yeah.
overall.
Well, but
you,
it's
you
tough
can't do that on a lawn.
tough to drip
Yeah,
on a lawn.
true. Well, you just don't water your lawn. It's okay for your lawn to turn brown. This is what we
I
need to
don't
teach the
water.
people.
I haven't watered mine
Well,
in years, and it's not
I think
even a lawn anymore.
it's
I'm
interesting
in the same boat.
with Assurian or Eversource or whatever it is this week. One of the things they were called out on through one of those iterations was that the wells down on for Springdale in Springdale Farm, it's not Farms, but whatever that subdivision from the 90s is, there's a pretty productive well down there. The amount of water that gets pulled out of there during the summer because people are using irrigation systems doubles the amount of water that's pulled out of there, which is generally absolutely unnecessary. And once a lawn is established after it's a few years old, you can cut back significantly. And the other part is having people not cut them so short so they don't dry out as quickly. And so I have a meadow behind me of a field which I didn't always mow, and then once I started to mow it more, it's also very well established, so it has a good root structure. There's no watering that takes place, and by not cutting it really short because it gets baked, it stays green right next to my neighbor who irrigates constantly. They're the same color. So but that's why it would take a serial nature, to do. And I think
I won't have to think too hard about next month because I've already got
and bringing up some of the town water study brought up some interesting points, and that was part of that was incorporated, and that was the water usage that went up during the summer. And the irony is it goes up while the population goes down. So
I should look at the water study. I bet there's some good ideas for articles in there.
Yeah. So okay, well, thank you very much. And I think the article looks good to go. And then when it's submitted, is it all converted to a particular type of font and all that, the formatting?
Yeah. As far as I know, I just send in the Word doc and then they can play with it however they want to make it fit into their format.
Let's see how it appears. So do we need a vote for that or?
Nah.
No, okay, then let's just go for it.
Great.
Thanks.
All right.
Okay, Janet, you're up for your updates.
Okay, very good. One thing I wanted to bring up on land management, and I had sent this out to everyone. We got an email from Tara Nolan requesting.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, and I have some information on that. So
okay. So I just didn't know. We had taken a previous vote not to do any mowing at Springdale to protect our beetles. Um, and there was some talk about a perimeter path, but I don't think that was ever resolved. And I think the sense was we'll let foot traffic make a path at this point until.
Yeah.
So that's
sorry.
I hadn't and that actually wasn't my take. I thought we were gonna I thought it'd been left up to me to talk to Mark Giloni at Park and Rec about mowing a perimeter trail in there.
Okay.
And I spoke to Mark today, and he's more than happy to do it. And I mentioned a schedule of possibly 3 times, a summer, but to get something in there for the fall, and based on our discussion, and then Tara's question about it was very timely. So one of the things I was looking for was we had at one point, so I was with Deb, I pulled up plans for Springdale and for 46 Springdale, but the large scale printer was not didn't have paper today, so we couldn't do that. But Deb's we're due to get that shortly. At some point I remember we had, and but because Lori's not here and so forth, we had a highlighted version that we used to give to Park and Rec that showed where we wanted that. If I can't find that, I will go ahead and do another one. And the idea was it would just go in, from the opening on Springdale, go in halfway between the wetland to the left and the granite post to the right, and then go farther out beyond where the stream is to where it disappears. Go out farther and do a perimeter run that takes them over to the DLCT trails, and then comes around the vernal pool, and then comes back around on the back side of the paddocks there, and then joins back up again. Does that sound? Did I describe that properly? Did people have a mental image of that? Does that seem appropriate?
Yeah.
Okay, so I will, so that I told, as I said, I spoke to Mark. I will, I did find a plan on my computer that I can, have in a smaller piece of paper, and I'll outline that and send it over to him.
Now, also, John, you had mentioned perhaps contacting GLM. Did they have some kind of a plan with layers or?
Well, so one of the thoughts looking at it, we found the most updated subdivision plan that they did, where they pulled the lot off, the Form A lot off. But so they have one plan that shows the wetland aspects, and it shows the vernal pool, and then they have another one that shows the subdivision but doesn't show the wetland aspects. And so I was thinking of giving Rob Truax a call and seeing if they can merge the two so that we show the features there, and then that's something we may be able to post online, and along with the trail. So that's not going to happen immediately, but I think that's what I uncovered going through those plans, that if we put them together, then people have some better bearing of where they are there.
John, I just wanted to mention a couple things that we had approved in our Springdale management plan. The first was that there'd only be perimeter mowing in late fall to avoid ground nesting bird season.
I would like that to be shown to me, because I don't agree with that. I don't recall agreeing to that, because the whole idea of the perimeter one is not to do it. It still maintains the 10 acres or more in the middle, but it hits a happy medium of allowing people to walk around the edges and not disturb things. We're only looking at something that is 5 to 6 feet wide around the edges there. So we can take another look at that, but we're trying to balance public access with the conservation there.
And then the other was, at least in the plan, which we all approved, was we were going to try to create a vegetative buffer around the vernal pool. So we were going to move away any trimming or mowing around the vernal pool to help protect that as an ecosystem.
And I think that, so I will, when I outline the yellow, I'm trying to find a plan that gives me, where I can locate the vernal pool as well. My concept was not to bring that right up to the edge there, but was to, there is a a worn trail that is probably 50 feet away from that at minimum. I'll take a closer look at that, and so I'll bring that to people's attention when I have a chance to put them all together there. Okay. Anything else, Janet, on that?
No, nope, that's
Okay.
it. So other updates, still have not gotten any new information from Paul McGovern on the Red Robin COC. 31 Springdale Avenue, as far as I know, we still don't have any new information there. And this is
I got a call. I ran into Will Mitchell at the town hall. Jen, have you heard anything? He had been talking to Rob Truax, and then according to him, he got feedback that Rob was out for a few weeks due to some sort of family situation. Have you heard anything like that?
no.
Okay.
Oh, but
So
I'm not-
that's what I got from him. I can check in again with him and see, and maybe the best thing would be to check, for me to check in with Rob and see what's going on there.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's just another one. We're going on almost 2 years now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and one other thing, and we'll see if it follows through. I spoke to Badrin Pierre for 29 Saddle Ridge, and I told him originally earlier this year that I would, he was a little light on his plantings, and that seemed to be the last thing that we're looking at. And he basically was saying that, money had gotten tight because of all the work he'd done. And I've spoke to several landscaping nurseries, and so I got a quote for a number of end of year plants along with my discount. And I spoke to Vadran, and he's going to go ahead and proceed with that. And so that should give us enough and he'll plant them. That should give us enough plantings to be able to close that to close that file on that. There's a number of blueberries and a whole series of different plants of various sizes, and I think there was an extra tree in there. And so I spoke to him just a couple of days ago, and I will talk to the nursery tomorrow on that.
Okay. It might be good, I guess, as long as we have minutes, but we just have a number of these enforcement orders that are just languishing and just don't have any documentation in the files. But
Go ahead.
so it's just a little, if a resident were to come and say, why aren't you enforcing your enforcement orders? I'm not sure, we'd have something we could report, but
I don't disagree, and I think you're right. Minutes are a low level of that you have to look through the minutes to see if this has been discussed. So the concept of maybe coming up with some sort of notes after discussing things with people, is probably appropriate. And to be able to get that into a file in some form, and maybe Janet, you and I can discuss how to a quick and easy form for something like that, a contact form or something like that. My frustration is, and I've talked to town council on this, these things they're so near the edge, near the end of each project, and our only thing is finding, and yet I don't know if finding on these particular things would grab people's attention, because enforcing the fines, according to town council, is maybe more onerous than the fine, than it's worth. I would love to come up with an in-between option, because we're clearly not getting people, we're not getting a fire under these people to get to conform with things. Any suggestions, Janet?
well, one easy thing. So I've only issued one other cease and desist order, and that was like 5 years ago. But in looking at the form that the commission uses, it appears that the commission would regularly record enforcement orders at the registry. I think that may be something we should do. It's a simple thing to do. If this is on someone's title, they may be a little bit more motivated to address it.
I was thinking the same thing as as that came up earlier this evening. I I think we need to just find make sure we have the correct form that's acceptable to or format that's acceptable to the registry. I think that may be something that allows, that hits that middle ground there.
Okay.
Mhm.
Let's see, 14 Rule Drive. This was actually an enforcement order and an order of conditions, which they had sort of ignored. I had a pre-construction meeting out there last Friday. We located the locations for the signage and bounds. Those have to go in within 4 weeks. I put a little pressure on them to get their plantings. They said they're still trying to source them. I gave them 4 names of, very good companies who have plenty of stock right now. So again, the commitment is by the end of this fall growing season, which is coming up.
So do we have an enforcement order on them plus an OOC, right?
That's right.
Okay. And so that the order of conditions is recorded. And it's also a renovation, so they already have their occupancy permit. I'm just wondering, is there any, I don't know if this is legal, and it's probably something we should check with town council. I don't know if there's an ability to, with recalcitrant owners, to have the town not issue an occupancy permit. Do you know anything about
No,
that?
yeah, you cannot tie those together. No.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I've asked Walter that. He said no.
Mm-hmm.
But just making sure all the departments are aware that there's a outstanding enforcement order. That's about all we can do.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But that looks like hopefully they'll be able to meet their deadlines. They are aware of those.
Well, one of the options I was thinking, they said they could get much of it, and maybe it's, in order to get things in before the winter, just tell them that that they'll still be required to put them in, but we need them to put in, a certain percentage, before before the beginning of winter. Does that seem as a possibility?
It does. And then the other thing with the order of conditions, if they cannot be in compliance by the end of the fall growing season, we could require a bond from them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
Okay,
that's
okay there. Yeah, no, that's an excellent, that's an excellent fallback there. And it's something we may be able to do with, for other compliances. I'm just thinking about, Springdale. We may not even be able to get a bond out of them, so, we'll put our heads together on that one.
Okay. The next item is just one, I just thought you should be aware of it. The DPW stormwater management project that we approved about a year ago, that is underway. Apparently, the residents on Meeting House Hill, due to some of the construction noise and vibrations, were concerned about potential soil contamination. As you may recall, back in 1994, there was an oil spill there, and that particular soil, they did some remediations. That remediation project was closed in 1997. They've had to do some ongoing monitoring, but they just reconfirmed that there is no significant risk to public health through the air, water, or soil. That they have done recent soil sampling. Everything is below the DEP limits for hazardous material. And they did bring in their consulting engineer, Weston and Sampson. So you all saw that response. I don't know if anyone's gotten questions on that or not.
Nope, Weston Sampson's also a licensed site professional, so they're reviewing everything for, chemically, and everything's well below thresholds apparently. So.
The next update, and I had sent everyone a copy of the most recent oil spill monitoring report for the Chestnut Street order of conditions. Apparently they had seen no new oil sheen for several months, 8 months actually, of weekly inspections, no oil sheen. but at the beginning of September, and then also in late September, there were reports of the new oil sheen. So they are continuing to put new absorbent booms in weekly, and are adding some additional containment measures underneath the pipeline where the spill had occurred. So they are on top of that, and are giving us their weekly inspections. So
Great.
let's see, we already talked about 165 Center Street. I'm wondering, John, in terms of the issue of our filing fees, the WPA bylaw, I think you had said town council was going to get something to you in writing on that.
Right. Yeah, I have not heard from, next time I get an email that they're gonna be in town, I will, meet with her again.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. I sent out the proposed meeting schedule for the next year. And we'll continue to have our bi-weekly meetings, except for November and December. Only one meeting each of those months due to holidays.
Okay.
So
Those-
Janet, I noticed, so we're moving them to Tuesdays?
Oh, no.
Yeah, maybe that was a typo, but it says under 2026 meeting dates, the second and fourth Tuesday of every month.
No. Oh, sorry about
Ooh.
that. Nope. No, the dates I gave you should all be Wednesdays.
Okay. I just saw that. I printed it out. I haven't gone through, but
Oh, no, that's a good point. So obviously, Janet, you can just double check that to make sure.
Yeah, I'll revise that. Yep.
Mhm.
Okay.
Let's see, just a quick update. As you know, I sit on the Tree Preservation Committee for the commission. Val Lynn is the chair of that. We are still developing a tree bylaw that will complement the stormwater bylaw and hopefully have a little bit more teeth in terms of protecting trees, protecting and preserving them. So the hope is to have a bylaw come to town meeting in May, and as soon as that is in a good draft form, each of the relevant land use boards, including the Concom, we will make the rounds and present that and get feedback. So the goal that this would be more stringent than what we have now within our bylaw.
So what we have now is that's part of the stormwater bylaw and deals with the setbacks.
Well, under our regulations, it's that no more than 50%.
Right. Within the buffer, yeah. But is there another one that deals with, and I'm asking because I don't recall. I thought they were trying to slide a tree bylaw, a tree component into the stormwater management for review.
Yes,
So
so that is in there. Yes.
Okay, so that is in place. Okay.
Yes. Yep.
And is that just a review, or is there any percentage that's in there, or is it on a case-by-case basis?
No, it's a review. So any trees coming out in the perimeter, or on the site itself, if it meets certain triggers, you have to get a permit. You have to be allowed to do that. And if you remove things without a permit, then you can be fined, and there is mitigation.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And I had one question for Cam. Someone had asked me, they had heard at a recent Board of Selectmen meeting that there had been some water testing done on the Ponzi land by Aquarian, and they thought that it had been requested by the Board of Selectmen. And I was just wondering if you have any more information on that.
I do recall the discussion about getting testing done. I don't think it has been done yet, though, Janet. And I'm not exactly sure what the original motivation for that was. Being rather new to the town, to the select board, it's something that was running before I joined. So I'll follow up on that and let you know.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you. And that's it for me.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And thank you for your presence, Cam. Do you have any closing thoughts or comments?
No, not really. But it's very instructive for me to just join the meeting and understand what you guys are doing. So I appreciate your patience in having me sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah, not quite the burden you may think.
One other thing, and I actually sent a note to Anna today on it, maybe in her sustainability capacity, but the state has introduced a new program for climate leading community, which is the next step up from the Green Communities project, and it sets out plans that I think very much relate to the Sustainability Committee on decarbonisation plans, and it sets up a framework of how one might go about that. And I thought that was really rather interesting, and I thought it might interest you guys if you did if you were interested in doing anything on it or finding out more about it, just to go to the Department of Energy and do a search for a climate leading community. I found it quite an interesting program.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. And hearing no objection, tonight's meeting is adjourned.
Good night.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.